They say a slap stings more when it's served with an audience. I never truly understood what that meant until Clarissa's perfectly manicured hand sliced through the air and collided with my cheek, echoing through her extravagant birthday party like a firecracker. Gasps ricocheted around the room like falling dominoes. I staggered backward, the world blurring for a moment. Then I heard it, laughter. Not from the crowd, but from Clarissa herself. I held my face, eyes stinging more from the humiliation than the impact. I was 17, wearing a faded dress I'd borrowed from a cousin because Clarissa said she wouldn't waste money dressing a charity case. I wasn't supposed to be at the party at all. But it was my father's idea, some twisted form of blending the family, as he put it. A family where I was the unwanted outlier. You come into my party, dressed like you crawled out of a thrift store, and dare speak back to me? Clarissa snapped, voice sharp and shrill. You should be grateful we even let you live in this house. Silence. Dozens of guests, too stunned or too polite to interfere, just watched. I searched for my father in the crowd. There he was, standing near the bar, glass of whiskey in hand, not even making eye contact. His gaze drifted above me, beyond me, like I was a speck of dirt he didn't want to acknowledge. That hurt more than anything. I wasn't supposed to be here. Not in this mansion, not in this glittering hall filled with guests who wore their wealth like armor. I was the daughter from the first marriage, the reminder of a past my father had scrubbed from his life. My mother, the woman they said abandoned me, was the ghost they blamed for every awkward silence and every moment I didn't fit in. Clarissa's voice sliced through the tension again. No wonder your mother left. Who would want to raise a burden like you? That was it. My knees went weak, but not from shame. From rage. I didn't cry. I wouldn't give her that. My blood roared in my ears as I clenched my fists, my mouth opening to fight back, and that's when the grand doors creaked open. The music stopped. Not lowered. Not faded. It stopped cold, as if the speakers themselves were stunned. Heads turned toward the grand doors of the ballroom, which slowly creaked open, letting in a breeze that carried something strange with it. Power. And then she appeared. My mother. Not the woman Clarissa had described in her bitter bedtime stories. Not the coward who ran off with another man, who never wanted to be a mother, who left me like garbage. No, this woman was different. She stood in the doorway like a queen returning to reclaim her throne, tall. Elegant, wrapped in a fitted navy blue dress that whispered wealth and poise. Her heels clicked deliberately against the marble, each step like a countdown. Click. 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 And then she stopped, right in front of Clarissa. The entire room held its breath. My stepmother's face twisted in fury and disbelief. You? What the hell are you doing here? My mother didn't answer immediately. She turned her head and looked at me, really looked at me, her eyes softening for a flicker of a moment as they scanned my tear-stained face and the redness still burning on my cheek. Then, without another word, she looked back at Clarissa and slapped her. Hard. The sound cracked through the silence like thunder. Guests gasped. A waiter dropped a tray. Clarissa stumbled, clutching her face. You laid hands on my daughter, my mother said calmly, as if explaining basic etiquette to a misbehaving child. So I returned the favor. Clarissa gaped at her. You crazy. But Mom cut her off. Say another word, and I'll make you regret ever opening your mouth. Clarissa tried to stand taller, tried to reclaim her composure. You don't belong here. You're nothing. A washed-up, abandoned mistake who got replaced. My mother laughed, a cold, amused sound that sent shivers down spines. Replaced? She tilted her head. You're wearing fake pearls at your own party, Clarissa. I bought this venue 2 weeks ago. You're standing in my building. The crowd rippled with disbelief. Clarissa turned pale. I came to collect what's mine, my mother continued, now louder, addressing the entire room. My daughter. My name. My dignity. And I'm taking all three. Clarissa sputtered, she's not yours. You abandoned her. She cried for you every night, and you weren't there. I never left her, my mother snapped, her voice rising for the first time. Your husband lied. He locked me out of her life. Told me if I fought, he'd destroy her in court. I had no money. No power. So I left. But I never stopped watching. Never stopped building. And now, she turned toward me and held out her hand. Now, I've come back. And I am never letting anyone hurt you again. My knees buckled. I wanted to run to her. I wanted to collapse. But I stayed still, because I knew this moment, this one, was for her. Clarissa hissed, you think you're powerful? You're still just the woman he threw away. My mother's lips curled into a smile. You'll understand just how powerful I am tomorrow morning, she said. When the world finds out your husband has been stealing from his company for years, and that I'm the one who owns it now. She turned to the crowd, unapologetic. I am Dr. Evelyn Sinclair, CEO of Hallberg International. And your CFO, Mr. Daniel Radley, is a thief. Every face in the room went blank. And my father didn't move. He stood frozen in the corner, one hand hanging limply at his side, the other still slightly raised as if the glass of whiskey it once held might magically reappear. But there was no magic left in him. Just fear. Evelyn, he said, voice dry and cracking. You don't want to do this here. My mother raised a brow. Oh, I very much do. His face drained of all color. You don't understand, I understand perfectly, she cut in, her tone razor-sharp. You embezzled millions under false consulting contracts. Falsified invoices. Redirected supplier payments. Did you think no one would notice? That your ego was too charming to question? The room had fallen so quiet, you could hear the ticking of Clarissa's gaudy wristwatch. Someone whispered, is this real? My mother turned slightly, addressing the stunned crowd. He used company funds to buy this house. This lifestyle. Her jewelry. She nodded toward Clarissa, who flinched like she'd been stabbed. And you all applauded him while he pretended to be a successful executive. Meanwhile, my daughter wore second-hand clothes and got slapped at your parties. My heart hammered. I looked at him, my father, the man who used to pick me up from ballet recitals, who told bedtime stories in silly voices. But all I saw now was a mask that had finally cracked. Clarissa broke the silence, her voice shrill and desperate. You're bluffing. She's bluffing, right, Daniel? He didn't answer. Instead, he looked at me. Not with love. Not with guilt. But with panic. Sophie, he said, taking a step toward me. You know me. I'm still your dad. This is just a misunderstanding. Don't, I whispered. My voice didn't need to be loud, it carried the weight of every birthday missed. Every lie told in court, every night I cried myself to sleep wondering why I wasn't enough. You sold me for comfort, I said, trembling. You let her treat me like trash so you could have your perfect family. You let her call my mother ABCH. And you stood there when she hit me. He opened his mouth to speak, but my mother stepped between us. Your access to my daughter ends now, she said coldly. As does your access to the company. You'll be hearing from my legal team in the morning. No, please, he begged. We can work something out. We're family, you were, my mother replied. Now you're just another liability. The aftermath unfolded like a slow-motion explosion. By the next morning, the tabloids were ablaze. Photos from the party had already leaked. CEO Evelyn Sinclair crashes ex-husband's party, exposes CFO in scandal. Heiress slapped by stepmother, reunited with powerful birth mom. It was inescapable. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages poured in, sympathy from some, apologies from fake friends, and shameless curiosity from classmates who never gave me a second glance before. But none of that mattered. Because for the first time in my life, I had my mother back. The real her. She didn't just sweep in with money or power, she gave me truth. She restored a piece of me I didn't even know was broken. We moved out of the house that same night. My mother had already prepared everything in advance. A sleek penthouse downtown. A new school application ready. A trust fund in my name. Meanwhile, Clarissa's world crumbled. She was last seen storming out of the house in a fit of rage, her luggage in a Rolls-Royce someone else owned. She hadn't known that the assets weren't hers. That everything, from the luxury cars to the property, had been paid for with stolen money. The bank seized the mansion. The court froze the accounts. My father was arrested within 48 hours. Charged with corporate fraud and embezzlement. A mugshot of him in a wrinkled suit made the news. He looked small. So very small. And I, once the unwanted girl in the corner, was now the daughter of Evelyn Sinclair. No longer hidden. No longer silent. But even amidst the chaos, there was a quiet, private moment between me and my mother I'll never forget. We sat on the penthouse balcony, legs curled under us, city lights sparkling below. "You saved me," I whispered. She took my hand. "No, Sophie. You survived until I could come back. You saved yourself. I just came to finish the war." Weeks passed, but the fire never died down. Reporters hounded the courthouse during my father's trial, hungry for every detail. The charges were airtight. My mother had handed over a mountain of documentation, emails, and financial records. It was over before it even began. He pled guilty to reduce his sentence. 7 years. I watched the verdict on a news live stream. Clarissa wasn't beside him. She had vanished from the public eye, her accounts deleted, her name whispered like a cautionary tale. But I didn't feel triumph. Not exactly. I felt clarity. Justice. And most importantly, freedom. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to shrink to fit into someone else's idea of worth. No more pretending I was okay with hand-me-downs while they bought Clarissa's daughter a brand new car. No more faking smiles while my family reminded me how lucky I was to live under their roof. Now, I stood beside a woman who taught me what it meant to fight back, not with pettiness, but with precision. With truth. With undeniable, iron-willed resolve. My mother didn't just give me money. She gave me a new lens through which to see myself. One where I wasn't the discarded daughter, but the survivor. "You know what the best revenge is?" she said one night, over dinner on our terrace. "Buying Dad's company and sending him to prison?" I asked dryly. She laughed. That was a bonus. The best revenge is building a life they could never ruin. And that's what we did. I transferred schools and started fresh, where no one knew me as the poor girl with the rich stepmother. I got into fashion design and started sketching outfits, enrolling in a summer program my mom personally sponsored. I built friendships with people who saw me, not my last name or my trauma. And I finally started therapy, something I didn't even know I needed until I felt the tightness in my chest start to lift. Week by week, I let go of the guilt I never should have carried, the shame of being unwanted. Because I was never the problem. They were. The last time I saw Clarissa was by accident. I was out shopping with my mother when we stopped by a luxury consignment store. Ironic, I know. The shop clerk was showing me a gorgeous pair of vintage boots when the bell above the door chimed. And in walked Clarissa. She didn't see us right away. She wore oversized sunglasses and a coat too big for her frame, like she was trying to vanish into the background. Her makeup was faded, her once luxurious curls tied into a low bun. She looked nothing like the woman who used to host glittering dinner parties and throw me judgmental glares across the room. She looked hollow. The clerk at the counter glanced at her duffel bag. You here to sell again, ma'am? Again. Clarissa nodded and unzipped the bag. Inside were jewelry pieces I remembered from those parties, her gold bangle, a diamond choker, the designer clutch she refused to let me touch. Pawned. Gone. She finally noticed me, and for a second, she looked like she might faint. Her gaze flicked to my mother beside me, and I could see it all crash down in her eyes, the realization that we were standing taller than ever, while she had lost everything she schemed to keep. I said nothing. She opened her mouth, maybe to apologize. Maybe to insult. I'll never know. Because my mother simply turned her back to the clerk and said, "We'll take the boots. Put them on my daughter's account." As we left, she didn't look back. Neither did I.